Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. What happens when the wrong person hears the right secret at exactly the wrong moment and realizes that secret is worth everything? Diane Jenkins just found out and nothing in Genoa City will ever be the same. Deep inside the abode mansion in the kind of silence that only exists right before everything falls apart. Diane Jenkins was not supposed to be there. She was not supposed to hear what she heard. Not supposed to feel the ground shift beneath her feet in the way that only happens when fate hands you something you never asked for. But that's exactly what happened. Nikki Newman and Jack Abbott, two of Genoa City's most powerful and complicated figures, were locked in a private conversation that was anything but ordinary. They were planning something enormous, some something calculated, something that, if it worked, would do what no one in the city had managed to do in decades: bring Victor Newman to his knees. And Diane Jenkins, hidden in the shadow of a hallway she wasn't meant to be in, heard every single word. Let me paint you the full picture, because the details here are everything. Picture the Abbott mansion, polished wood floors, the kind of quiet luxury that holds decades of secrets in its walls. The kind of place where whispered conversations feel louder than they should because every surface seems designed to carry sound. Diane wasn't snooping, not intentionally, not at first. She was simply moving through the house when she caught something: a tone, a shift in the air, the unmistakable cadence of voices being kept deliberately low. And that right there was enough to stop her cold. Because here's the thing about Diane Jenkins: she didn't survive everything. She survived in Genoa City by ignoring her instincts. She has been underestimated, written off, cast out, and clawed her way back more times than anyone wants to count. So when something in her gut said stop and listen, she listened. She pressed herself into that dimly lit hallway, close enough to the study door that every word drifted through the crack like smoke through a keyhole. And what she heard sent a visible chill through her entire body. Nikki Newman's voice came first, and if you know Nikki, you know that when her voice trembles with fury rather than breaking from it, you are looking at a woman who has already made up her mind. She wasn't venting, she wasn't spiraling. She was focused, and that focus was terrifying. I have had enough of Victor Newman controlling every aspect of our lives. This time, Jack, we make him pay. I can't overstate how significant those words are coming from Nikki. This is a woman who has spent the better part of her life bound to Victor in ways that are impossible to fully untangle: love, trauma, history, power, and yet here she was, standing in her enemy's house, calling for war with the calm certainty of someone who has already chosen their weapon. And Jack Abbott, who usually carries himself with at least the veneer of measured control, wasn't providing any pushback. He was matching her energy, maybe even fueling it. You could hear it in the way he paced, slow and deliberate, his jaw tight, his words stripped of their usual diplomatic polish. Victor had crossed too many lines this time. Nikki, his manipulated markets, threatened my family, and now he thinks he can walk away untouchable. I won't let him. Imagine how he must have looked in that moment. A man who has spent years being underestimated by Victor, dismissed, outplayed, and humiliated on the biggest stages of Genoa City offers, and who was finally done playing defense. This wasn't grief or frustration. This was a decision, and Diane, standing just beyond that door with her hand trembling slightly against the wall, felt the weight of it land on her like a physical thing. Then Nikki said something that absolutely floored me, and I imagine it floored Diane too. She whispered that she had already set things in motion, already before this conversation even happened. Nikki had started the clock ticking. She told Jack that Victor's empire wasn't as secure as he believed, and that once they exposed what he had been hiding, there would be no path back for him. And Diane mind, that sharp survival wired mind of hers, immediately began working. Because what could Nikki possibly have uncovered that was powerful enough to make a statement like that? What secret sits underneath Victor Newman's empire that he pulled loose brings the whole structure down? The fact that we don't know yet makes it exponentially more dangerous. Jack paused and asked the question any rational person would ask. Are you sure? Once they move, there is no returning to before. Victor won't absorb the hit quietly. He will retaliate with everything he possesses. And he possesses a great deal. And Nikki's response came back with zero hesitation, zero waver, zero doubt. Let him try. Three words, that's all. And somehow those three words carried more weight than a full speech would have. Because they weren't defiant in a reckless way. They were defiant in the way of someone who has already seen the board and knows where every piece sits. Outside that door, Diane's entire nervous system was running calculations. She could barely breathe, barely move, barely process the fact that she was standing in the middle of that what might be the most consequential private moment in Genoa City history. Because this wasn't two people venting over drinks. This was a coordinated strike, a plan with moving pieces, already in motion. And she was the only one with who knew about it, who wasn't supposed to. Jack's voice dropped even lower as he reminded Nikki that if Victor even suspected what they were doing, he would shut it down before they had the chance to act. And Nikki responded with something that hit Diane and me like a quiet explosion. She laughed quietly, almost to herself, and said he won't suspect a thing. Not this time. I mean, imagine hearing that. Imagine standing in that hallway and realizing that Nikki Newman, who knows Victor's psychology better than perhaps anyone alive, genuinely believes she has gotten ahead of him. That is either the most dangerous kind of confidence or the most hard earned kind. And from Nikki, in that moment, it sounded like both. Then came the moment that sealed it for Diane. Nikki's voice softened just enough to let that emotion through. Not weakness, just truth. As she said, this was for everything. Victor had done every lie, every manipulation, every time he thought he could reach in and control the people around him, like pieces on his personal chessboard, and Jack's response, quiet and almost reflective, landed with a finality of a door closing. Then we make sure it ends for good. Dan stepped back from that door like the words had physically moved her, and in the silence of the hallway, with her heart hammering and her thoughts running three steps ahead of the moment, she faced the most defining choice she would encountered in years. Keep the secret aligned quietly with Jack and Nikki and ride the wave of Victor's potential downfall from a safe distance. Or take the riskier, higher stakes path, go directly to Victor, trade what she knew for something far more valuable than just safety. Power, leverage, a seat at a table that had never truly belonged to her. And as she descended that staircase, her heels silent against the polished floor, a small and knowing smile crossed her face. Because Diane Jenkins did not come back to Genoa City to survive quietly in the background. She came back to matter. And right now, she mattered more than anyone in that house realized. In Genoa City, power never sleeps and neither do the secrets that threaten to destroy it. What begins as a quiet moment quickly turns into something far more dangerous, an unseen turning point where loyalty, ambition, and hidden agendas collide in the shadows. This story isn't just about conflict, it's about control. It explores what happens when the people you least expect find themselves holding the most powerful secrets and the impossible choices that follow, because in a world where trust is fragile, even a single decision can shift everything. There's a deeper question beneath it all. How far would someone go to secure their place when the stakes are this high? And when opportunity knocks in the darkest way possible, is it courage or desperation that answers? As tensions rise and quiet plans begin to take shape, one thing becomes clear. Not everyone is playing the same game, and not everyone will walk away the same. Would you keep a dangerous secret or use it to protect your future? Who do you think truly holds the power right now? And is it what it seems? And if you had one chance to change everything, would you take it? Stay with the story because the next twist might not come from where you expect. If this pulled you in, hit that like button and subscribe because we are just getting started. And the next chapter of this story is going to hit even harder.